welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. In a special chat, we are catching up with Laura Houldsworth, Managing Director, Asia Pacific Booking.com. She was visiting Delhi this week. She is meeting us and speaking to us about the developments in travel and the sentiment of travelers, their key investments going forward, expectations from 2024 and much more. Laura, welcome to CNBC-TV18.
Thank you very much for having me.
What are some of the key travel trends that you've witnessed so far in the year, Laura?
Well, we're seeing that travel remains incredibly resilient, which is good for all of us in the industry. We're seeing that worldwide, and we're certainly seeing it across Asia Pacific and increasingly so also across India. We've had record numbers for the last 2 years. When we think, there was initial sense of revenge travel. In 2022, we saw globally 900 million room nights booked. Last year, we saw over 1 billion, and we expect to continue to see a rise of that this year. Even in the start of the year, we are seeing the bookings that we've got already for the rest of the year are significantly higher than they were this time last year. So we know that travel is certainly here to stay, and we see that travelers are continuing to prioritize their discretionary spend on travel. So again, it's good news, I think, for all of us across the industry.
Upcoming weeks and upcoming months are critical for travel portals such as yours. Your expectations from the upcoming spring and summer, Laura?
Yeah, I think we can continue to see, we've broken records the last 2 summers. We expect to probably see the same this year. Already we can see significant bookings already made, certainly for peak periods. And luckily for us across Asia Pacific, those peak periods are quite spread out. And so we don't rely heavily on only a summer period, but as you say, there's spring, there's a lot of kind of the religious and spiritual periods that we have to take advantage of. So I think across the region, we will expect to see continued strength in numbers all throughout the year.
Yes, and we have seen an increase in the Indian users going to Booking.com and doing their hotel reservations. What are some of the opportunities and, what are some of the things that the platform sees as lucrative and willing to invest in the country in particular?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the whole world, and not just Booking.com, the whole world is looking at the India traveler, the rise of this. I mean, with the world's largest population, and certainly a fastest rising middle class, we know that the market is going to grow from $150 billion in 2019 to $410 billion in 2030. So there's a huge opportunity for everybody in the travel space to capture this demand and make sure that we're meeting travelers where they need us the most. So for us, certainly at Booking.com and across the Booking brands, we continue to invest, as I mentioned, in the domestic traveler, so making sure that we have the types of accommodation that those travelers are looking for, and that tends to be beyond the metro cities now. So we're looking at tier 2, tier 3 cities. We're looking at locations such as Varanasi, Kochi, Mysore for the religious and spiritual travel. And also, I talked about the kind of wedding tourism. We know that that's also taking place in the smaller regions, so also bringing a lot of opportunities, particular growth in jobs. So we will continue to try and meet our travelers where they need us. We have teams on the ground all across India to make sure that we're providing the right types of accommodation. We've got over 70,000 listings now across India, an increasing rise in alternative accommodation. So outside of the core properties, we're seeing much more, and we've got about 14 different types of properties now listed. As well as obviously we've put in additional language support. So we've launched Hindi last year. And the other investment that we've made into this very critical market is our Centre of Excellence, which supports all of the Booking Holdings brands. And that's a $250 million investment we've made over the next 5 years, around 1,000 jobs in Bangalore. So we're excited to see what that can bring. We know the talent is very strong here in India, and so we continue to invest.
Okay, and also in terms of marketing events, what are some of the things that you have your eyes on to advertise? Last year, you deployed a sizable amount of budget towards cricket. So will that investment in sports, sponsorships and cricket continue going forward as well?
Yeah, we continue to look for where the opportunities are, again, where travelers need us, where we will raise the most amount of awareness. Yes, we sponsored the ICC World Cricket, both men's and women's, over the last 5 years, and we were able to get a lot of coverage, but also enable ourselves to work with brand ambassadors like Rohit Sharma. So we really wanted to work closely with who's relevant here in the market, and we will continue to look for what's next for us going forward for this market.
How are the shifts in technology shaping your strategies going forward? How do you specifically envision generative AI transforming the travel industry?
Oh, it will for sure. Like every industry, I think travel is not unique in that sense. And actually within Booking.com, we've been using AI and machine learning for a very long time in ways that we help to find the right searches for you, whether we optimize our Google searches. So we've been using it for a long time, but now I think seeing it through generative AI and the opportunities that that brings for travelers to interact in exactly the way that they want. We talk about personalization. This is the ultimate opportunity for full personalization for a traveler to look for the preferences that they have based on their past, but also engaging with us in natural language and allowing us to provide inspirational travel opportunities as well as take travelers to what they already know. So it is transformative. Booking.com is already on the way, as I mentioned, the trip planner, and I think we will just continue to see the rise of the use of this type of technology for travelers to improve the service all the time.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Tom Newton, Global CEO of Conran Design Group, and Inez Gimane Muthusamy, Strategy Managing Director, W, Conran Design. Speaking. Welcome back. Havas Group this week has merged its two design specialist agencies, Conran Design Group with Paris-based agency W, to consolidate and create the Conran Design Group network. This new network will focus on brand and design services. The global rollout of Conran Design was initiated from India. Around the announcement, the network also marked the release of Conran Design Group's new proprietary study, Citizen Brands, which identifies brands that are achieving balanced growth. The study also found the top 20 citizen brands, those who were able to meet the needs of both individuals and society. As per the report, the top 10 citizen brands in India are Google, Tata, Amazon, Samsung, Microsoft, Tata Motors, Apple, Sony, LG, and Paytm. To tell us more about the insights from this report and also about the formation of the new network, we are joined in by Tom Newton, Global CEO, Conran Design Group, and Inez Gimane Muthusamy, Strategy Managing Director, W, Conran Design. So this will bring two agencies, design agencies, under one roof, which is of course W and Conran together. And the rollout is happening out of India.
Yes.
Tell us the reason for this rollout to happen out of the country.
Well, I mean, we set up our business here in Mumbai right in the middle of lockdown,
yes,
2021.
That's right.
So everything was virtual.
Yeah.
All of the hiring and the team was put together virtually, and it felt like a sort of risky thing to do at the time. Actually, the momentum and the traction, the interest in design, and the connection to the Conran Design Group brand, we felt straight away here in India. There was a real appetite for design and brand, and a real entrepreneurial spirit, actually, I think, in the region. So it was a very positive experience. We had very good momentum, and it just felt very natural to launch the network here. You know, we're absolutely convinced and, you know, committed to Mumbai and India being one of our key global hubs as we grow. And for us, this was never an exercise about pins in the map. You know, we never intended, and we don't intend to have 60, 70 offices. That's not our model. We want 6 or 7 world-class offerings dotted around the world, and India will be one.
Inez, we have you with us today. Tell us more about, some of the insights from the Citizen Brand Report that you have launched.
So thank you for asking this question. It was important for us to have a piece, a study, something to build upon our capability to address nowadays needs and expectation. And basically what we've done is look at brands in a holistic approach. So we've looked at investors, brand leaders, but at the same time, public opinion in 5 different markets. So India, the US, the UK, France, and Saudi Arabia. And what we wanted to know is what was expected and how could brand leaders grow in a balanced way. And what we found is that brands should act upon a new kind of compass. This compass must address individual needs that we know, betterment, originality, assurance, but at the same time societal needs like inclusion, environmentalism, and contribution to society as large. So it has been really interesting to look into it and to see that actually by being a balanced brand, a citizen brand, addressing both society and the individual, what you can deliver is growth, reputational growth by basically addressing and attracting new talents and retaining them, but also bringing new appetite for your products and for your services.
Okay, what apart from, addressing the society and people, do these brands that feature really high up in the Citizen Brand Report have in common, according to you, Anis?
It's quite interesting because there is a lot of things that are asked to the brands. We call it the expectation inflation.
What is that exactly? Very interesting term.
Yeah, actually, it's some kind of strange era we are all part of. Like, you can feel it. We are asking more and more to leaders. If you look at what regulators are asking, what citizens are asking, what employees are asking, what customers are asking, and also investors, stakeholders, everyone is asking for something. And these expectations are not always in line one with another. So that's why we've coined this word, the expectation inflation era, is that basically it's really difficult to see where you should deliver on the long term as a brand leaders. And actually, when we've asked investors and brand leaders, they were telling us that they were walking a sort of reputational tightrope.
Yes.
They are under a lot of pressure, and basically it was about 94% of them are telling us that they were feeling that they were fearing to be perceived as not doing enough in terms of societal impact. And at the same time, almost 90% of them were saying they were fearing also to be perceived as too woke.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's difficult to handle this kind of pressure. And this is why we needed some kind of new compass to address what is asked.
So how do they do that? How do they balance it out? That's a very interesting thought that you just shared. Like, not appearing too woke. At the same time, they need to appear that they're doing something for the society.
It's kind of interesting. What we find is that in the top brands, they mainly deliver, you can see that they all deliver regarding assurance. So they are well-known, trusted brands that bring assurance in a world where trust is really hard and difficult to build. And at the same time, they have their own mark. They have their own set of goals. And so they have their own way to addressing this compass by making most of the time also inclusion a part of their brand building, something really important for them. And this is why we see at the top of the brand index a lot of the tech, consumer tech brands that are well performing in both aspects, inclusion and at the same time assurance.
My final question to both of you is, what are some of the biggest mistakes that brands make while, let's say, creating a brand, or like setting up a new or establishing a new brand, or sometimes undergoing a brand revamp for that matter? Let's begin with you, Anis.
Yeah, I would say that obviously you have to have a different product or different services, and that's already a lot to achieve. But at the same time, more and more, and that's what we see in Citizen Brand, is that you have to have a point of view. You have to have a point of view as a brand regarding society at large, and to make sure that you have a relevant role to play in this society according to your point of view. And maybe once you have this foundation, for me, it's all about delivering it by design.
Also believing in. Tom?
Yeah, I echo Anas's point. I think many organizations sometimes view growth as a zero-sum game. You have to trade one thing for another thing. We would argue that balance, and this the whole purpose of the Citizen Brand Study was to think longer term. Think that progress has to carry everyone forward. You don't have to trade off one audience for another, or one commercial ambition for more of a societal sense of responsibility. You can use the levers to balance those things, and that will give you longevity, it will connect more profoundly with audiences,
Sure.
and it will set you up for long-term growth. And I think the examples we've seen of businesses in different markets, different regions, failing is because they don't take a long-term view. They don't play the long game. They chase dynamic short-term growth without being prepared and having their brand prepared for the longer term.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank
for
you very
sharing
much.
insights
Thank you
on
very much.
branding.
Thanks for having us.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Sheena Kapoor, Head Marketing, Corporate Communications and CSR, ICICI Lombard, speaking about their ICICI Lombard has introduced a very innovative integrated media initiative called Game of Life. This pioneering concept in the insurance domain combines the excitement of gaming with the practicality of insurance. This campaign leverages the captivating allure of virtual games to connect with the digital native generation while speaking about the uncertainties and ups and downs of our everyday life, while urging the viewers to stay protected. To tell us more, we are joined in by Sheena Kapoor, Head Marketing, Corporate Communications and CSR, ICICI Lombard. Sheena, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Sheena, first of all, Game of Life. I saw the campaign, such an interesting concept. Tell us more about it, how it was conceptualized, what were some of the discussions that you had with your agency, Ogilvy, I believe, and what was the kind of brief that you gave to them?
For us, Game of Life has been a very disruptive campaign. And as always, you know, with any BFSI sector, Q4 happens to be like the most active season. And we started actually thinking and ideating about scripts way back in Q3, about October, November, so that we're, you know, well in time ready with the plan. And we actually went through some 6 to 7 very interesting scripts. And we looked at different kind of narratives. We were sure that we wanted to talk about something which was at a brand level, which was at a corporate level, a campaign that spoke about ICICI Lombard, but spoke about a different tonality and spoke about the category. We wanted to have something which was a culmination of technology, ideation, creativity, innovation, and is yet very engaging, you know, for the viewers, especially something that engages and appeals to the younger audience, the millennials and the Gen Z.
And gamification. So how did you arrive upon gamifying, you know, to communicate the objective of buying an insurance?
Life's a game. You really don't know what will happen next. Well, it's so uncertain. You can't really predict because it is unpredictable. And insurance, therefore, you know, as a category, we're there to be, you know, providing that shield and that protection cover for the consumers across, whether it's, you know, health insurance or whether it's motor insurance, to safeguard the consumers, you know, against these kind of uncertainties, as well as protecting the assets. And so we asked ourselves, okay, here is this gamification route. Can we bring alive the entire concept and bring it in the environment of gaming so that we make it even more cooler and we make it more engaging? And, you know, and I think it's resonated very well, of course, with the younger audience, but I'm happy to say that even with the older demographics, it has resonated really well.
So having said that, I'm tempted to ask, what has it done for ICICI Lombard, or what can it potentially do for the brand as compared to what, you know, the traditional campaign would have done?
So, you know, again, this is far removed from anywhere close to what traditional has done so far. And in fact, arguably, not just within the insurance, not even within the BFSI, I'm saying across categories, and I'd go bold enough to say within India and arguably even across the world. This is the first time any brand has attempted a narrative which is using a gaming environment. And the production house, the creative agencies, the director has pulled this off so fabulously that it actually looks like robotic characters when they're actually humans who are portraying the entire film narrative. And through the film, like I said, you know, we have spoken about, you know, the different aspects of life. And we've brought up the analogy with health bar or the power bar, like you have in a game. So anything that you do which is, you know, which could leave you vulnerable to any kind of mishap or is actually, you know, taking away from your well-being, actually depletes your energy. So you reaching out for junk food, even though you know that a healthier choice exists, is actually not doing too great for you in the health terms in the longer run, right? And that's what we're trying to also advocate to the audience, saying preventive healthcare and the overall well-being and the continuum of care that we want to propose. And as against any kind of traditional ad where you would have possibly taken a product, exemplified the features or, the contours of the product, or, as a lot of brands do, engage with, even roped in some celebrities, to pull off the narrative. This is, extremely differentiated, disruptive, original, and very, very refreshing. In fact, I think the best form of, compliment that one can receive is from the competition itself, and from a lot of the marketers, from within the insurance and BFSI category. They've come forward to, congratulate us on the campaign and have been saying that, this has really raised the bar from an otherwise a very boring category, which is kind of, used to doing some boring work and not like very disruptive work.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for sharing these insights with us, Sheena.
Thank you. Thank you so much.